Have you ever just stopped and wondered how life works? I mean, like at the most basic, fundamental level. Well, believe it or not, a huge piece of that puzzle is hiding in something you probably have in your kitchen right now. We are about to unlock a secret to life itself, all by using an onion. Okay, so here's the big question. Every single living cell needs fuel. It needs water, it needs nutrients to survive. But they don't have mouths, they don't have hands, so how on earth do they get the stuff they need? So let's start by framing this as a cell's dilemma. And this isn't just some problem for a weird little organism. This is a challenge that every single living thing on this planet has to solve. That includes you and me. And it really doesn't matter if we're talking about a tiny little bacterium or the trillions of cells that make up your body, the rule is always the same. To grow, to multiply, you gotta have fuel. And this isn't just an abstract question for biology class. This is the story of how you heal, how you grow, and basically how you live every single day. So, how do we find the answer to this universal problem? Well, our investigation is taking us to a surprisingly perfect laboratory, the humble red onion. The reason we're using a red onion is actually brilliant. Its cells are naturally colored. That deep purple pigment acts like a built-in stain. It lets us see everything that's going on inside super clearly without having to add any complicated chemicals. It's almost like nature gave us a perfect little window to look through. And when we first put a thin slice of this onion in just plain water, this is what we see. The cells look like a tidy, rigid brick wall, right? They're all boxy and stacked together. Everything seems really stable and organized. This is our starting point. But what happens when we change the environment just a little bit? This is where it gets really fascinating. We're going to do a very simple but incredibly revealing experiment, the saltwater test. All right, here's the game plan. Step 1, we look at the cells in plain water. Done. Step 2, we're going to carefully swap that plain water with salt water. Step 3, we just watch. We see what happens to the inside of the cell. And then step 4, we switch it back to plain water and see if whatever happened can be undone. Ready? Let's see what this onion has to show us. And what happens next? This is the aha moment. This is the observation that just changes everything. It's dramatic, it's clear, and it's the key to this whole investigation. The second that salt water hits the slide, whoa, the colorful stuff on the inside of the cells literally pulls away from the edges. It shrinks up, it contracts. Something really profound is happening right before our eyes. And this right here is the most important clue. If you look closely, that outer boxy shape, the brick, it didn't move at all. It's totally rigid. But the purple stuff inside, it pulled away, contained by its own separate boundary. This means there isn't just one barrier here, there are two. And then the final piece of the puzzle just clicks into place. When we wash away the salt water and put plain water back in, that shrunken inside part just swells right back up, filling the cell again like a balloon being reinflated. And this confirms it. Water is moving across that inner boundary, both in and out of the cell. So we've seen the evidence. Now it's time to actually put some names to what we've been looking at and really understand how it works. It's time to meet the cell's gatekeeper. Okay, so what were those two boundaries we saw? Well, that rigid outer layer, the one that never moved, that's called the cell wall. You can think of it like a building's walls. It just provides support and shape. But that flexible inner boundary, the one that did all the moving, that is the cell membrane. This is our smart gatekeeper, the one that's controlling what gets in and what gets out. So how does the cell membrane do that? Well, its secret is that it is semi-permeable. Now that sounds like a big fancy word, but it's a really simple idea. It's just a barrier with tiny microscopic holes that are just the right size to let small things, like water, pass through, but they block bigger stuff. It's an incredibly smart, selective filter. And this is where our little onion experiment suddenly becomes a story about all of us. Because this smart barrier isn't just something for plants. It's a fundamental piece of technology for pretty much all life on Earth. Let's just compare for a second. Plant cells, they have both that rigid wall for support and the smart membrane inside. That's why plants can stand up. But animal cells, like the ones in your body, have only the flexible cell membrane. Now, this is great because it allows our cells to form all kinds of different shapes, like long nerve cells or round blood cells. But it means they depend completely on that one gatekeeper to survive. And this is exactly why it matters to you.
Every single one of your cells has this amazing semi-permeable membrane. It is constantly working, pulling in water, grabbing nutrients from your food, getting the electrolytes it needs, all while keeping out the stuff that could be harmful. This is the tiny engine that powers your growth, your repair, and your healing.
So the answer to how a cell eats and drinks wasn't a mouth after all, but an elegant, selective barrier. A simple but profound solution that makes all of life possible. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other huge secrets about our world are hiding inside the most ordinary things, just waiting for us to look a little closer?